Baik, teman-teman. Selanjutnya kita akan membagikan mosi. Mosi pada debat sesi 1. Mosi telah disediakan 6 oleh Dewan Juri. Ya, di sini ada 1 sampai 6. Nanti mosinya akan dibacakan oleh Dewan Juri. Mosi sesi 1. Mosi sesi 1 nomor 5. Silahkan, Mem Rally, boleh dibacakan.
Oke, untuk chamber 1 ya, preliminary pertama ini, mosinya adalah mosi 5. So, the motion will be, this House believes that temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated. Nanti Mem tulis juga di chat. Oke.
Baik, teman-teman. Kami akan berikan waktu 15 menit, Mem, ya,
Yep.
untuk case building.
Ini sebelum kita case building, langsung aja ke chamber 2 nanti, langsung di itu aja, di spin wheel-nya.
Untuk yang nanti.
Ya,
Baik.
sekaligus nomor mosinya.
Oke, jika ingin berdiskusi, silakan teman-teman bergabung di breakout room masing-masing. Sudah disediakan. Bentar, Miss. Ini kok hilang?
Galih 15 menit lagi, berarti nanti debatnya dimulai jam
9:50.
9.50. Oke. Mungkin karena ada breakout room-nya ya kali. Nggak bisa share screen untuk spin wheel.
Oh ini Miss, Mam, keyboardnya error. Bentar Mam.
Oh, oke.
Mem, kita langsung bagikan untuk debat sesi 2-nya, Mem.
Oke.
Untuk debat sesi 2. Ini sesi 2 ada Unja 2, Unri 2, dan 2 swing team. Unja 2 ada Rastra dan Rifki. Unri 2 ada Aufa dan Satria Haryadi. Swing team masih sama, Nofri dan Ahmad, Ara dan Messi. Raudatul dan Messi. Kita akan tentukan untuk tim Unri 2 dulu. Untuk timnya Aufa dan Satria. Unri 2. Opening opposition. Kemudian Unja 2. Tim Rastra dan Rifki. Okay. Closing opposition. Swing team 1. Swing team 1 opening government. Swing team 2 closing government. Ini kita langsung mosi. Angkanya saja, Miss. Mem.
Yup.
Oke. Mosi pertandingan kedua. Nomor 3.
Oke. Untuk mosi ini nanti dibacakan setelah debat yang pertama selesai ya.
Yap. Baik, peserta semua, waktu case building telah habis. Sekarang kita akan mulai sesi debatnya. Saya ingatkan kembali teman-teman, untuk pembicara 1, speaker pertama, speaker 1, itu diberikan waktu untuk berbicara selama 7 menit. Dan untuk speaker kedua diberikan waktu untuk berbicara selama 5 menit. Untuk sanggahan atau POI itu akan diberikan waktu selama 15 detik dalam rentang waktu 1 menit setelah pembicara berbicara sampai 1 menit terakhir sebelum waktu untuk berbicara selesai. Berarti untuk speaker pertama rentang waktu itu dari menit ke-6, dari detik ke-61 sampai detik ke-239. Maksud saya sampai 359. Untuk speaker kedua itu rentang waktu untuk POI-nya itu dari detik ke-60 sampai detik ke-239. Jadi 1 menit setelah berbicara dan 1 menit sebelum waktunya habis. Baik, untuk tim pertama, opening government. Pembicara pertamanya Okay. Now we're going to start our debate competitions on MTQ Mahasiswa Nasional FKIP 2023. We're going to start with the first speaker, the Prime Minister. To the Prime Minister's, the time is yours.
Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable, the judges, and also fellow debaters, I'm Prime Minister from opening government. So our motion today is this House believes that the temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated. So I strongly agree with this motion. Let me give an explanation first. So what is temporary? Temporary workers, also known as contingent workers or contract workers, are individuals employed by an organization for a defined period or a specific task or project. Unlike permanent employees who have an ongoing employment relationship, temporary workers are hired on a temporary basis to meet short-term needs or to address fluctuation in workload. Temporary workers can be sourced through various means, such as employment agencies, subcontractor, or direct contractual arrangements. They may work full-time or part-time, depending on the requirements of the position and the duration of the assignment. And temporary workers can perform a wide range of roles within government institutions, including administrative support, project management, technical expertise, or specialized services. So for this motion, I will give limitation for our debate today. So the limitation is temporary workers, especially teachers who only graduated from high school in Indonesia. I'll give a reason why I don't agree with this motion. The temporary workers should be eliminated. First is financial security, because we can explain and about the teachers, temporary teachers in Indonesia. So the low salary of temporary teachers in Indonesia creates financial insecurity for them and their families. Inadequate compensation makes it challenging for temporary teachers to meet their basic needs and maintain decent standards of living. This lack of financial security can lead to stress, job dissatisfaction, and demotivation, ultimately affecting their performance in the classroom. And the next is attracting and retaining qualified teachers. Low salaries for temporary teachers make it difficult to attract and retain highly qualified educators. Talented individuals may be discouraged from pursuing a career in teaching or opt for alternative employment opportunities that offer better compensation. And the next reason why I strongly agree with this motion is quality of education. Low of salaries for temporary teachers can have a direct impact on the quality of education provided to students. Because of the teacher is only graduated from the senior high school, teachers who are financially might be less inclined to invest in their professional development, attend training programs, or update their teaching methods and knowledge. So this lack of professional growth can hinder the delivery up to date and effective teaching practices, negatively impacting student learning outcomes. And then the next is inequality among teachers. Disparities in salary between temporary and permanent teachers create an atmosphere of inequality within the education system. Temporary teachers may feel undervalued and treated unfairly compared to their permanent counterparts who receive higher salaries and benefits. This can lead to a divided teaching workforce affecting collaboration, teamwork, and the overall cohesiveness of the educational environment. And about curriculum knowledge and familiarity. Temporary teachers may have limited familiarity with the curriculum and educational policies specific to the government institution. Permanent teachers undergo extensive training and professional development to ensure they are well versed in the curriculum requirements. This deep understanding allows permanent teachers to effectively plan and deliver lessons aligned with educational standards, ensuring consistent and quality of education. Temporary teachers may not have the same level of expertise, potentially resulting in inconsistencies in lesson delivery and assessment. Continue with the next reason about continuity in pedagogical approach. Each teacher has their unique teaching style and approach, but because this is only for senior high school level students, for senior high school only graduated from senior high school, when temporary teachers are brought in short periods, it can disrupt the consistency of pedagogical methods used within the institution. Students may experience inconsistency in how lessons are taught, hindering their ability to adapt and develop a cohesive understanding of the subject. And the last one is limited professional development opportunities. Temporary teachers may have limited access to professional development opportunities provided by the government institution. And I restated again that I strongly agree with this motion that the temporary workers, especially teachers, to be eliminated. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for the Prime Minister's opening government. Now I'd like to remind to all of the participants that you may interrupt during PRI, and just don't forget to unmute. Make sure that you unmute your microphone and speak up. You may speak after the speakers let you to speak. Now we're going to move on to the leaders of the oppositions from opening oppositions. 7 minutes. Time is yours.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the honorable judges, the moderator, the audience, and also my fellow debaters. So today's motion is this House believes that temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated, which we strongly disagree with this motion. But before we move on to our argument, let me elaborate more about what is temporary workers. So temporary workers are the people who work, who are hired for a specific project, and they are usually hired to fulfill the number of the worker that is needed for the project itself. And also, so basically they are hired when they are needed, when the government or the project need the additional people hands to help the project to finish the project. And also the temporary worker will get paid depends on the project that they will get. And after the project itself has done, they will finish their job with the government, with the project. And so the opening government mentioned about the limit. So the limit is for the limit is for the temporary workers who work as a teacher with graduate from high school. But we strongly disagree with that limit because it is undebatable. Because if we reflect on the status quo itself, the teacher nowadays cannot be a teacher, cannot teach if they have the education low than bachelor degree. Therefore, it is not valid for debate today. Since the government has so many has various kind of project that they will run, not only for in education but also in infrastructure. Therefore, we limit our argument here in not only in education but also infrastructure, and the time is nowadays recently. So let's move on to our argument why we strongly disagree with the motion. Because if we eliminate the temporary worker, it will give both of the parties unbeneficial thing. For example, since the government just need the people for a specific project, it will not be efficient for the government if they have to hire the people permanently, because they will just need the people for the specific and period of time. Therefore, if the government has to hire the people permanently, it will such a waste, because after the project is done, then what is the purpose of the people that getting permanently hired? It's gonna such a waste for the worker itself. If they get hired permanently by the government, since we know that the government has the project not all the time they have the project, it's just like several period of time. Therefore, they will wasting their time to get another opportunity to get work, and while they are waiting for the next project, they will not get paid. So it is such a not efficient thing. And the reason why we should not eliminate the temporary workers is because it can benefit both of the parties. For example, like we mentioned before, efficiency. So the government has various kind of project in many fields, like we mentioned before, and at the specific project, they just need an additional people to get the project done. After the project is done, so the people are not needed anymore. Therefore, it will be better for the government just to hire the temporary workers rather than hire them permanently. And also, it will reduce the consumption of budget for the government. So it will give the government financial budget as well. And also for the temporary workers itself, it gives so much benefits if they get hired by the government and the project that they will involve to. For example, they will get financial benefits as well, since they will get paid if they join the project. But it's not only for that. They will get a relation. They will get like relation from the people who work together in the project, and they will have experience since they work in the government project. It will give them additional support for their portfolio and curriculum vitae. And also, since the project is not since the project and since the worker is not contract, there is no regulated attachment for the worker. They will have time flexibility to work. And also, by joining the project that the government regulate, the temporary worker will have career path possibilities for them, since if they have a good performance while they're working at the project, they will probably get called again to work at the similar project. Therefore, temporary workers really needed in this world, especially in work field. If we eliminate the temporary worker, it will such a big waste both for the worker itself and also the government. So we once again we restate that we do not agree with this motion that this house believe that temporary workers in government institution should be eliminated. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to move on to the Deputy Prime Ministers. You have 5 minutes to deliver your arguments. Time is yours.
I will speak in 3, 2, 1. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. The honorable judges, the judges, and all the fellow debaters. So our today motion is this House believes the temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated. So I strongly disagree about this motion today. But before I start my argument, I would like to make some kind of rebuttal. So the leader of opposition said that only teacher with bachelor degree can be teacher. Actually, not in small village. Also, there is people with graduate from high school can be teacher in elementary school. So in this place, so you mentioned about so many things about project. Also, that's not part of government institution. That is part of private institution. So you not mention about government. You mentioned about private institution, project. So of course we make some kind of solution of this. So we are not always eliminated temporary worker. So this is the regulation officially from the Ministry of Administrative Reform and Bureaucracy Reform, COMENMAP, will remove workers temporarily from government institutions. So this decision, because government again that will have real data regarding staffing to make it easier to analyze the needs of these agencies. The main solution is to the eliminate of temporary workers is the need to implement several transitional policies before these policies are actually enforced. Transitional policies can be in the form of rules regarding a place to consider a number of aspirations from various groups regarding the appointment of honorary workers to become better job, to become civil apparatus. In addition, it also pay attention to the obligation to carry out competency test as stated in the regulation. So the solution to the presence of this translation policy will reduce some of the potential problems that can be occurred. Furthermore, the government can map the qualification of honorary workers according to their job function. For example, honorary staff with functional technical qualifications such as teaching, medical, health, so many extension workers, and so on, will be grouped differently from honorary workers whose duties are more general and administrative. Later, each qualification according to its function will have a different assessment weight in graduation. This mapping priority is important because the government will prioritize more functional position in the future. Another important thing that needs to be considered with the official elimination of worker temporary is important of developing a special competency developing concept for employment after being officially recruitment by the government. So this is the inequality among teachers. Disparities in salary between temporary and permanent teachers create an atmosphere of inequality within the education system. temporary teachers may feel undervalued and treated unfairly compared to their permanent counterparts who receive high salaries and benefits. This can lead to a divided teaching workforce, affecting collaboration, teamwork, and the overall cohesive and educational environment. So once again, I will restate that I am strongly agree about today's motion. This House believes that eliminated temporary workers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Now we are going to move to the deputy leaders of the oppositions. You have 5 minutes to deliver your arguments and time is yours.
Alright, I'm gonna check first. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So our motion today is this House believes that temporary workers in a government institution should be eliminated. I, as opening opposition team, totally disagree with our motion today. But before I'm going to my argument why I disagree with our motion today, I'm gonna give a rebuttal. So my partner already mentioned that if opening a government mentioned teacher as a temporary worker and the limit is just people who just graduate from senior high school, then it not makes sense because we know that school just accept a teacher who are graduate from bachelor degree. And then the partner of opening government mentioned that the argument from my partner is not valid because there is a small in the small slide there is a teacher who just graduate from senior high school and teach in an elementary school. Then I can say that the teacher is unqualified. Why? Because to be a teacher, the teacher just do not need to graduate from senior high graduate from bachelor degree, but also they need several train like if I just know it's a PPG or any else like that to be a teacher. So the limitation that opening government mentioned before is really unacceptable. And my next rebuttal is that deputy of opening government mentioned that to have a good placement of as a solution for our motion today is having different assessment to place the worker in the right place. But we know that it's expensive and costs more money than we hire them in our specific project. So it's unacceptable, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable judges, I'm gonna go to my argument that government have various projects and human resource each time. We know that Indonesia is developing country and Indonesia as a time go will do so much instruction to build our country itself, and that's why we need a temporary worker because temporary worker work exact in the project that need their skill, and the project we know that it's not permanent, it's just temporary until the building, until the highway finish. And also, ladies and gentlemen, opening temporary workers is opening, it also means that we opening new job opportunity. I'm gonna mention again about the teacher. We know that teacher we have things that we call guru honorer. This kind of teacher is also work in the school but paid by school. Why we need this kind of teacher? Because this kind of teacher basically have a good and qualified skill but not yet part of government. So why school need this kind of temporary teachers? Because first, kind of temporary workers is more flexible. We can hire them and we can hire them flexibly without spending more money and time to to interview them, to hire them before they work with us. And also it will flexible as a cost. They will pay cheaper than the permanent worker. And also hire the temporary workers, ladies and gentlemen, also can be a part of selection of human resource that we will hire in our company. And let's say that the company needs kind of a people, but they do not have exactly, we do not find exactly people who gonna work in the project. So they hire the temporary workers and for the project, and they will find it is if the people it fits for the project itself. And also, ladies and gentlemen, as a solution for our motion today, as a opening opposition team, we'll start with the status quo today. And we, as an opening opposition team, believe that temporary workers should not be eliminated. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now we're moving to the closing government. We placed members of government. Members of government, time is yours.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes, my voice can be heard.
Yep, keep going.
Right. Now, let me just repeat that. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, the honorable judges, timekeepers, and my fellow debaters. I'm here as the speaker one from the closing government team. Our motion for today's debate, ladies and gentlemen, is this House believe that temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated. Now, before I start my argument, I want to rebuke the second speaker of the opposition team. Now, you're mentioning about honorary teachers, but you didn't mention about the qualification that was needed to have that position. Are you saying that education institution, which is the most important institution in our government, will hire people who's only considered to be graduate from senior high school to have that position? No, of course not. Now, before I start my arguments, let me just mention again that temporary workers in the government institution here work to be considered as people who is working under a short-term time contract. Now, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, government institution like education institution works on a very complicated job desk. Their work consists of programs and systems that are supposed to be used in a really long time period. Imagine if there's a workers that can affect those works directly. In a practice or real life situation, we can consider things like this to happen. Let me explain. An institution and a school education institution are working on a new systems or program, I said. Say that they use temporary workers, like honor, like you said before, as someone who can access to hold the file of the works or even participate on the works themselves. Then when the system or program is already been applied, or we can say it has already been tried, that worker's contract is over. Now they're gone. Imagine if there's a problem. We need to do something like we need to, or like we can just say like maybe edit or do something back to the system and the programs, and the workers are gone in the works, and they need that workers again, but they're not in the place currently. We cannot find them anywhere. You can just say that, no, thank you. You can just call them and hire them back, you say. Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't you think it's rather, we can say it, inconvenient? What if they can't come as quickly as we need them? We believe that using permanent workers is the best thing to consider when we're talking about works as important as the school institution works. Besides, as the limitation has said, they're only senior high school graduated. Not that we will judge those people. Of course, they have their own skills and all, but here, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about education institution. That is a really important thing right there. We need someone who have the best experience, who have the best knowledge, who have the best skills to handle the students or other works in that institution. Any important position in education institution, ladies and gentlemen, have particularly hard job desk and works. Can you guarantee that unnecessary problems won't rise? I don't think so. Okay, just say that they're working on a less important like cleaning service or security as or something. As you may know, ladies and gentlemen, besides the fact that by using temporary workers means the institution needs to work more on report that they need to give to the Minister of Education each month or each semester or each
please.
year. No, thank you. To the Minister of Education, having those two positions that you consider less important than the rest, change everyone's in a short time can cause the students feel uncomfortable. Now, what do I mean by feeling uncomfortable here? Just say that they're close to the previous temporary workers and now they're gone. Won't the student feel sad, like, oh my goodness, I was close to the person, but now they're gone, and I'm not feeling all right with these new workers that the schools or the institution hired. And the last one is you can't guarantee that any position that was previously being filled by those temporary workers can be replaced as soon after their contract is over, right? Now, what will happen to that position? No one will sit on it. No one will have it. Now, for the finishing, let me state again that we strongly agree to eliminate or decrease the consideration of using the temporary workers in the education institution, especially if they're just a senior high school graduate. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, we please from the closing opposition member of opposition. Time is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yep.
Uh, if you have a POI, please just raise hand, don't speak or make some noises because it's really difficult for me to hear or speaking. Okay, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The honorable judges, as we know from what happened in opening debate, them just talking about on OG, they're just talking about on how as a senior high school graduate, and then we teaching at the elementary school and etc. And then we didn't have a quality actually in education. So this is a work temporary as a temporary workers in education. So we have to eliminate that and etc. And then on how not the reviews this limited, and then just talking about on how it will be as a specific benefit from to hire people as a permanently like spend money and etc. And then but actually they never engage for them cases each cases from their side. And then let's give some rebuttal from CG. Them just talking about a complicated system as a workers actually. But ladies and gentlemen, I think it's not a really complicated system, right? Why? Because first we have a regulation actually on how we have the hires in education, for example, or the second at the institutions, others like the blue collars and etc. Actually in institutional government institutions. The second, they're talking about on how who will add the position if the contract is over and etc. But I think it's we get if we have many mechanism, right? For example, if you are if in educations or at school we have permanent recruitment and etc. So I think it's enough. Or the second in status quo we have first the qualification on how they can from the temporary workers to be permanent workers. Like first you have to work uh, work at 2 years, or and the second you have a quality in your patients and etc. So I think it's enough after the end of the day, and we will not discuss about this. And then what are the different what the distinct from OO and us. We will answer the question from the OG and CG about the school education. Yeah, as we know, ladies and gentlemen, all of our stance goals is clear. We want to refuse this motion, and our goals is want to give a more job vacancy or a job opportunities to everyone, like and the second on how it will be best to our first for our institution, the second to the workers actually, and in temporary workers for all. Yeah, as we know, in our status quo right now, we can give a really good service from all of them actually, like for the first and the second, if we get a more service and etc. But it's it will they will give us more uh, uh more more service and etc. I think it's not the really hard, right? And then about and then about why it's eliminated is bring more harm than benefit. I have to argument first on how it will be a government institution about human research, right? And actually we have a selection and etc. So we can improve them skills, right? If at these 2 years, for example, or just to give them some focus of experience. And the second on how it's training for them or not is to decide themselves, right? Like to make them are as a teacher, for example, you are a temporary workers, so you can improve yourself and etc. I think it will be a best scenario on our position. The second and third on how it will be on how it will be give you some of really beautiful cases. Like first, it will go to our government institutions for to hire everyone's like to make them human resource, like yeah, our government will be make sure that we have made a good quality of them workers. And the second to them to them their workers, like yeah, if you have graduate from bachelor or etc, then you can improve yourself actually in temporary workers, and this is make some opportunities to you to improve yourself and as a I think it will be about in our positions, right? And I think why that's why CO might to must to become the winner.
All right, thank you so much. Now, we're going to move on to the government whip. You have 5 minutes to deliver your arguments. And 5-minute time is yours. The government whip.
All right. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm from the closing government as the whip. Will give rebuttal from the opposition team. Right. Before that, firstly, I want to say thanks for the judges, my fellow debaters, and also the timekeeper. And before I conclude our team argument, I want to give some rebuttal first. The opening opposition said that about the infrastructure, but our government team, our opening government team already said the limitation to the
Your eye, please.
education. No, thank you. And I think it's out of the limit for the opening opposition said that permanent workers wasting their time to wait another project. While it is true that permanent workers might have periods where they are waiting for another project, but this argument does not outweigh the benefits of having a stable permanent worker in government institution. The first is because the flexibility and research allocation. Having a pool of permanent workers allow government institutions to allocate researchers effectively. During periods of low project demand, permanent workers can be assigned to other tasks, such as training research on a process improving.
Yeah, I please.
No, thank you. Their expertise and institutional knowledge can be utilized in predictive ways that contribute to the overall efficiency and effectiveness of the institution. And also, hiring temporary workers often involves additional expenses such as requirement, training, and onboarding process. These costs can accumulate over time, especially when temporary workers are repeatedly hired for similar roles. By eliminating temporary position, a government institution can save on this cost and allocate their budget more effectively. Permanent employees also tend to have better knowledge and experience of organization, reducing the need for repetitive training and allowing for cost saving in the long run. And also about the efficiency and stability. Permanent employees in government institutions have the advantage of long-term commitment, which leads to increased efficiency and stability in the function of this institution. Temporary workers, on the other hand, often lack
Yeah, I please.
the same, no thank you, the same level of commitment and job security, which can impact their motivation and productivity. By eliminating temporary workers, government institutions can ensure a more stable workforce that is dedicated to their roles and responsibility. So, I can state again that I strongly agree with this motion. This House believes that temporary workers in government institutions should be eliminated. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much from the government whip. Now, before we move on into the opposition whip as the last statement, I would like to ask to all of the participants to turn on the camera so that the judges is not going to suuzon to the participants.
Mohon maaf, izin kamera saya rusak.
Okay. Tidak apa. Okay. But for all of the participants, especially for this round of debate, politely we ask you to turn on your camera. Now we are going to move to the last statements from the closing oppositions whip. 5 minutes. Time is yours.
Okay, am I audible?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the honorable judges. Let's be caution that I will give 3 contributions in this debate. First, I will give the rebuttals from the another tips, and second, I will give the elaboration for our arguments, and 3, we will show to you all about how the closing opposition can winning this debate. First, let me see about what the closing government bring to us. First, the closing government say that the permanent worker will be more support and give utility to government institution because the permanent workers will have the commitment, better commitment, and etc. Let me see the judges. We know that the permanent workers is not the solution from this case and this motion. Why? Because in this case and this motion, we know that the government institution need more of human research and the workers to fix and finish the project. So when the closing government say that the temporary worker will have the overtime and over budget, it's not true. Because why? To get to hire the temporary worker, we will not give the more hard the qualification and etc. Well, because why? For the temporary worker, we have the more easy to the qualification, and then maybe okay, we will need more overtime and more budget, but this no problem, because why? When you give the more time and more budget, it will give us it will help us to fix and finish the another project. And what will happen if we have to finish our project? When we have to finish our project, we will get more budget, more budget, and it will give more benefit to government institution. Okay, let me see in our arguments. First, let me see how the temporary worker will be more benefit to workers and to government institution. First, for the government institution, we know that government institution need people in good ability and skill, right? And why the government institution have responsibility? Why? Because the government institution have the responsibility to provide and the best service to all citizens. So to give the to give the responsibility and provide the best service to all citizens, the government institution need to hire more worker in another project. So what is not will be worse for the government institution? First, to get and filter people. Okay, maybe in the government institution will be more needed the people in good ability, in good qualification, and etc. But to hire the people like that, we need the place, or we need the chance to see who's the people that have the good ability and etc. So when we hire the temporary workers, we can see all people in the temporary workers that can we bring to be the permanent workers in the future. And let's visit in the workers. For the workers, we will have the more benefit. First, we will give a chance and development. Okay, all people when want and need to employ in the government institution, the government institution will give the requirement for people to have work experience. So the work expectation of all people maybe is more difficult to some people, and it makes hard for them because almost of a job opportunity have a difficult requirement. Why? So the temporary worker give bigger chance to people to get work experience. Moreover, we know that as professional worker need developing special competences. So we realize that. So we believe in future impact for temporary workers, they will get the developing special competences, and it will build a good quality human resource. It will not just good for one side. Let me show you. When we get more ability from the temporary worker, it will good in one is the workers, and two for the government institution, and the three is for the society and citizen, because the society will give the good impact from the government institution, because they can fulfill the needed of the human resource. Because that we believe that the closing operation can win this debate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So the last statement from the opposition side signs that our debate the first sessions of the debate is finished. Now we are going to hear are we going to share the second motions, ma'am?
Yeah, the second motion, yeah.
Yep.
I will read. It is the third motion. This House believes that government should standardize the religious preacher rates. Okay, I will write it in the chat.
All right, so here are the motions. This House believe that government should standardize the religious purchase rates. Thank you so much, ma'am. And now I would like to re-announce the participants, the chambers members of the the second sessions of the debate. As the opening government, it's gonna be swing team, the first swing team 1. As the opening oppositions, it's gonna be Unja 2. As the closing government, it's gonna be swing team 2. As the closing opposition, it's gonna be Unri 2. So you guys have 15 minutes to case building. Time start from now. We're going to meet at 11 and 5.
I'm sorry. I want to make sure that Unri 2 in OO, right?
Unri 2 as closing opposition.
Kak, izin sekali lagi, mohon maaf. Tadi di waktu di spin Unri 2 dapatnya opening opposition deh.
Unri 2 di opening opposition ya.
Yes.
Bentar saya lihat lagi.
Ya, Unri 2 di opening opposition, Unja 2 di closing opposition.
Oke.
Thank you.
Oh iya. Oke. All right, 15 minutes. Time's up. Case building is over. Now we are going to start our debate. Just to make sure, guys, opening government from pardon? Okay, wait, guys.
Gimana Gilang?
Galih, ma'am. So, I
Ayo,
guess
Galih.
we're ready. We're going to start the second session of the debate.
Ya, betul sekali. Kita mulai sesi debat yang kedua.
Yuk, kita mulai dengan 7 minutes for the prime ministers. So 7 minutes for the prime minister's time is yours.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alright, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the opportunity, the honorable judges and fellow debaters. So our mission today is this House believes that governments should standardize the religious preacher rate. So I state that I strongly agree with this motion. Indonesia is a diverse country with a predominantly Muslim population, and religious affairs are of significant importance to its society. The Indonesian government has been actively involved in regulating religious matters to ensure social harmony, uphold religious values, and prevent religious conflicts. So let me continue with the explanation about the government standardizing religious preacher rates. What is it? Government standardizing religious preacher rates refers to the act. Yes.
Oke, udah direkam ya? Oke. Ya, you may
Sudah.
continue.
So, government standardizing religious preacher rates refers to the act of establishing regulation or guidelines by the government regarding the fees or remuneration that religious preachers can charge for their services. It involves setting a fixed or recommended rate that preachers should adhere to when providing religious teachings, sermons, or performing religious ceremonies. All right, let me continue with my reason. And here are a few reasons why I strongly agree with this motion, that the government should standardize of religious preacher rates. The first is ensuring fairness and equality. Standardizing religious preacher rates can help ensure fairness and equality in the religious sector. It prevents preachers from exploiting their position by charging exorbitant fees or accepting disproportionate payments, which could potentially exploit vulnerable individuals or communities. By setting standard rates, the government can promote a level playing field and prevent unfair competition among preachers. And the next reasons, protecting the public. Standardizing religious preacher rates can protect the public from fraudulent practices or financial exploitation. It provides transparency and accountability in financial transactions related to religious services. Government regulation can help prevent the misuse of religious influence for professional gain, thereby safeguarding the interests of believers and the wider community. Ladies and gentlemen, and the next reason is maintaining social harmony. In diverse societies where multiple religions and faith coexist, government standardization of religious preachers' rates can help maintain social harmony. By preventing exorbitant fees or levies payments, the government ensures that religious activities do not become a source of division, inequalities, or social tension, standardization or social tension. And standardization can also discourage excessive commercialization of religious services, fostering a more inclusive and cohesive society. And then promoting professionalism. Standardizing religious preacher rates can contribute to the professionalization of the religious sector. By establishing clear guidelines and expectations, the government encourages preachers to develop their skills, knowledge, and communication abilities. This can lead to improved quality of religious services and enhance public trust and confidence in the institution of preaching. And the next is economic consideration, of course. Government standardization of religious preacher rates can have economic implications, and setting reasonable rates can prevent the flow of excessive financial resources towards the religious sectors, and ensuring that funds are distributed for equitably across different areas of society, such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. This approach aims to strike a balance between religious activities and broader social needs. So, I gave the limitation from my explanation before. So this limitation to the limitation for this motion is standard. This the religious preacher rates for boarding Islamic school, and I restated again that I strongly agree with this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to move to our leader of the opposition. 7 minutes. Time is yours. Leader of the opposition.
Okay. Is my voice is clear?
Clear.
I'm sorry, before I can turn on my camera because my internet not really strong. Preference of POI, just raise your hand, don't make a sound. So, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. The honorable judges, before I go to my argument, let me give some rebuttal to the first speaker from opening government. The limitation this motion to for boarding Islamic school panels or judges. C. The opening government not engaged to our motion today. They said for boarding Islamic school, which is we can say that is the teacher in the school, right? So let's see why OO can win this debate. Welcome to our argument. Absolutely, we strongly disagree about this motion that this house believe that government should standardize the religious preacher rates. Why we shouldn't standardize the religious preacher rates? Okay, welcome to background and characterize. Religious preacher is the human or people who that have knowledge in religious. We can say that they more knowing well the religion than the other people. They share their knowledge about religious because the God's call or preachers share their knowledge based on their will to save their people. Basically, this is not a formal job to the honorable judges. And then, look, the salary or the pay they get also comes from the sincerity of people who feel enlightened by them. So that's why we don't have to standardize the religious preacher rate. Look, what the impact if we give the standardize of the religious preacher rates? If we give the standardize, the first impact. Actually, in this world, the sharing the knowledge of religions, it's not based on their will to save their people. The standardization will be changing the meaning of the preaching from their goodwill to commercialization of religion. It will a bad impact, right? Imagine. What's even worse, for example, if people have understanding that they have so too stronger than it, and they can call the preacher of the religion, and then because he want to make his belief will be believed by other people, the teacher will do whatever he wants, right? Because there is money, there is a teaching, and it will make there is no longer the essential of the religion. And then we can look like why in the end we shouldn't standardize the religious picture rate. If we don't standardize, the teacher will always teach based their goodwill to save people. Even if, like I said before, the religious preacher is share his knowledge because they because based on their will to save their people, right? So it will exist in our side and in our work. And even if some teacher will be under honor by the people, but they can get their wealth from their side activities. Like I said before, basically this is not a formal job, right? So when people choose their life to be the religious preacher with this sincerity and gets called, let's say, and then he can also make the other job, right, to 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 get money to follow him. Okay. I say that some teacher will be under honor, but they can get their wealth from their side activities like teaching in school and etc. So if we don't standardize the religious preacher, this is the solution that we give to this motion, that we need to teach people to honor the religious preacher as best as we can, because we know they teach us because they want to save us. Judges, in a principle, the government is don't have to intervene in religious business like this did. People already know how to honor a religious preacher, but not only preacher, all preacher figures and etc. And our people. And if the opening government worry about there is to protecting public blah 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 judges, the war is baseless because the people is already progressive, especially when it comes to choosing who teach them. And they say the economic implication and etc. We already answered it, that the religious preachers can get money from the other job. And then look, what is the actor it will impact of this motion. First is the religious preachers, and then there is people who we categorize them in black people, white, and gray people. That the black is not really knowing about the principle of this religious, let's say, and then the white is knowing well, and then the gray is not knowing too well. Now, imagine if this standard is we say, okay, it's will elaborate by my second speaker. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're going to continue our debate. Now we're going to hear the argumentations from the Deputy Prime Ministers. You have 5 minutes, and 5 minutes, time is yours.
All right. I will speak in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everyone. The judges, the honorables, and to present the below debaters. So our today motion is this house believes that government should standardize the religious preacher rates. So before I start my argument, I will make some kind of rebuttal about what the leader of opposition said before. So let me remind you, so we already make the limitation again. They standardize the religious preacher rates for boarding Islamic school. Of course, this is have a relation with Da'i, Ustad, or Kiai, something like that. So we make the limitation in Indonesia. So I will state again. So this is not also, if you want to work informal, such as in Maulid event or halal event, of course, government should not take standardized because that is not the government problem, right? So government should not take standardized if the da'i on that event, on Maulid, on halal bihalal or something like that. So I strongly agree. So this is what I said. This is about teacher. This is what we call boarding school. The extension of teaching and learning process that has grown, in the beginning of Islam. It makes the scholarship, the ulama, talk about what is the wages. Because after all, a teacher also needs material to cover his daily needs. So the case of taking wages for preaching or teaching religious knowledge is not something new in the scientific literature of Muslim scholars, especially fiqh scholars or something long discussion about this. Scholars agree on the permissibility of taking ration from the government. So when they teaching like the Quran or also teaching other Sharia science such as hadith or interpretation, fiqh, and others, the wages taken from the Baitul Mal are actually not payment, but rather than taking from Baitul Mal, actually government can helping each other, So government can make standardized for the teacher who teach on that boarding school. Likewise, the scholars agree that taking wages for teaching like science such as medicine, mathematics, something like that, chemistry and other is possibility. Of course, in boarding school also they have start in da'i, so they have got paycheck, right? So this is the teacher can taking a fee for the student of knowledge himself, whether it is permissible or not. So the solution is a preacher should not accept enforcement when he prays. This is for the sake of glorifying himself and maintaining sanctity. He can accept it when he is needed because maybe his activities are only busy preaching. But of course, the best thing is not to set rates, let alone very high or very low. However, the government must also take standardize on the wages of the ustad or da'i because it is feared that the ustad or da'i will charge very high rate just to fulfill his like his material or his desire or something like that. So to avoid division and strengthen brotherhood, the government must take steps in the wage that would be received by a teacher. Also, this is the So this is to ensure compliance with the standardized rates. The government may establish oversight mechanism. This can involve monitoring financial transactions, conducting audits, or implementing penalties for non-compliance. Government agencies or religious affairs department may be responsible for overseeing the implementation of standardizing policies. So again, I will restate that I strongly agree. This House believes that government should standardize the religious preaching. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move along to the deputy leaders of opposition. You have 5 minutes, and time is yours.
Okay, POA, I'll accept with raising hands and no sounds, and I will start my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Before we are going to the my argument, I would like to rebut the argument from the deputy prime minister that they argumenting about the teacher in the religious teacher in Islamic boarding school. So in Islamic boarding school is a body that have law under it. So the preacher, we can know the preacher from the definition. The preacher is a informal job that someone have the knowledge to share to other people in religion things. So the honorable judge, if we set this debating and limited the debating to the Islamic boarding school, like we know, school have teacher, not preacher. So from that point, the argument from the opposition is invalid, the honorable judge. And the second point, the honorable judge, is uh, we know teacher is a formal job in Indonesia, and the standardization of the formal job is always exists in every country, the honorable judge. And we're going to my argument, the honorable judge. We in this motion we have two actors. Honorable judge. The first actor is the preacher, and the second actor is the government. The honorable judge. If we look at the first actor, the preacher, like we know, in the start, preachers teach their religion in order to save their people, and the government, in this case, they will standardize the rates in order to save the preacher. Okay, so if we look at the effect of the standardizing rates of the religious preacher, it's not only have a bad effect on the preachers, but to the government and the society. What we could say about that? We could look at the church. We can look from some Christian sect. There is a church that the believer should pay some money to the church. Like it can be like a special church that pay many money, and it only the church only can be attended by the wealthy, and it's not right according to their religious teach, because religion is for everyone, for everyone, the honorable judge. And the next point is, we know religion is about goodwill and collecting rewards. But if the preachers are standardized their rights, they will teach their religion with the mindset that they want to teach because of the money, not because of their goodwill and their will to get the rewards for their next afterlife. And the next point is the honorable judge is it's not only if we talk about the money, it's not it's the religion become the wealthiest people things, not the all people things. It can be harm for the believer. They will believe that the religion is not about the goodwill, the collect rewards, but it's about money now because their standardization could go wrong. Like the standardization will be so high because we don't have control in government decisions. That's all that I can said. The Honorable Judge, I'm Satria Haryadi. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. From the representatives of the oppositions, now we are going to move on to the members of government. You have 5 minutes to deliver your arguments, your statements, and time is yours.
All right, firstly, am I audible?
Yep.
All right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, the honorable judges, the timekeepers, and my fellow debaters. I'm here as the speaker one of the closing governments, the member of government's team. Now, our motion today is this House believes that government should standardize the religious preachers' rate. Now, before I start with my arguments, I want to rebuke the second speaker of the opposition team. Now, you said about bad impact to the preacher, but you didn't give more elaboration, more explanation about what is this bad impact is. If you actually put consideration, the right consideration in this debate, didn't you supposed to consider the role, the function of those preacher themselves? Preacher is an important role in a religion path. Not anyone supposed to be one. You sounds like you're saying that anyone can be a preacher regardless the standards that has already been there. Now, let me deliver my arguments. Now, what is mean by religious preacher? Let me just explain it again. Is a person who delivers sermons or homilies on religious topics to an assembly people, to the followers of a religion. In Christian, we can call them priests, pastors, or clergymen. Those are people who can be considered as a religious preacher. They're the people who can or have the responsibility to deliver the God's message, to tell the people, to the followers about the holy books, From here, ladies and gentlemen, we can already tell that there's a standards that need to be fulfilled. Not anyone can be a preacher in any religion. Let just me mention about how important a religion is for basics. Ladies and gentlemen, religion is the most important aspect in the human life. It gives limitation and control humans' behavior. Unfortunately, not all people can understand the knowledge of religion and the system they have. That's why we need a preacher or people who guides them in the road of religion. Ladies and gentlemen, a preacher in any religion, either it's Islam or it's Christian, especially in Islam, let me just say that again, especially in Islam, have standards that need to be fulfilled, not just by knowing basic religion knowledge and memorize a chapter or two in the holy book. They need to understand the religion itself as a whole. Some religion even offer or has its own specific school or institution that give the service, that give the chance to people of getting know the religion and produce a preachers. Those graduatee even has degree to prove that they're qualified on becoming a preacher, a proof that they have the base, the knowledge, the experience that someone needs to lead a religious journey in a path of religion. In Islam, ladies and gentlemen, as we already know, there's some common thing that can give you the title imam or haji, which can be considered as a preacher in Islam. Like they already go to Mecca or do their responsibility and as a Muslim there, or even some cases they already are graduated from an Islamic boarding school or we can just call it pesantren. From this, we can already conclude that being a preacher, ladies and gentlemen, indeed needs some real standardization. The government, which is one of the agents in our today's debate motion by giving standards to the religious preacher means keeping the balance, the harmony of the religion followers, which can also affect the peace of a nation, which can be considered as a wider range affected. Now, if we're talking about preacher or only works about, let me just repeat that. Now, if we're talking about preachers in or only works in an Islamic boarding school, as the limitation said, then the standards could be more strict. Why do I say that? Because if it is an Islamic boarding school, ladies and gentlemen, then it's not about religion only anymore, but also education. Delivering religion is an education way. Doesn't always means a teacher, but there's a specific methods that is need to be used, and eventually not all preacher recognize those methods. It is worth a consideration that someone who at least have a degree in religion aspect can be used in Islamic boarding school as a preacher. So let me state again, the government need to put standardization, a real and more standardization on religious preachers, because we need to keep the harmony of the religion followers themselves and other considerable aspects that can be affected by it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So now we're moving along to the members of the opposition. You have 5 minutes to deliver your arguments and statements, and time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope my voice is audible for everyone. The honorable judges, my adjudicator, and my fellow debaters. On today's motion, which is the government should standardize the religious preachers' rate, which from our side is totally disagree. Why so? Allow me to give a rebuttal to the government side first. Government side stated that the importance of religion, so that's why our society also need the existence of preachers itself. But what if the government make this standardized for the preachers' rate? It's not fair. How do we can make sure that the preacher rates giving by the government is equitable payment for them? Ladies and gentlemen, we know how the government in Indonesia plays such an important role itself. But we need to understand the balance between economical society in Indonesia itself. Are this support the existence of a standardization of preachers' rates? We know that there is no absolute measurement to determine the rate itself. There is no measurement the value of the preachers except from the reputation that they or the preacher built itself. We know that the background knowledge of preachers also can affect it, how much income and equitable payment that they will receive, ladies and gentlemen. We should know that if the government standardized this religion preservement rates, it might resulting into the financial boundaries on religious preservement itself. This can lead to financially strain, reducing service, or even closes. These such consequences could make a negative impact, limited access to the spiritual guidelines for a certain community. Standardized rates also could pose a significant impact to a preachers and unfairness for both government and also the preachers itself. Talking about Islamic boundary school, are all Islamic boundary school provided with a relevant or enough funds in order to invite this reservement, or to make sure that all the students in Islamic boundaries are prepared to be a discernment itself? We know that if the government create or make a standardized for the discernment, or the standardized itself is fair for the imprisonment itself. We afraid that the standardized that government created, it lead into a underpaid of a preacherman itself, ladies and gentlemen. We should know how importance of this and how big problem it may result. We know that there are several preachermen that known because of their reputation, and sometimes people interesting to go to listen their knowledge because of their name. And I do believe that this several prismen is have a quite high in order to income of them. So we need to make sure whether the government it's give a good impact both for the prisonmen or for themselves. And these are the solution that we can offer, ladies and gentlemen. Instead, government make the standardized and interfere the religious organization or this individuals or a prisoner itself can establish their own self-regulation towards their value and income rates. So it allows them to maintain and ensure the prisoners are treated fairly and transparency, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's all my argument. And I stated again that I totally disagree with today's motion, which is the government should standardize the religion imprisonment rates. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now we're going to move to the closing governments from the government whip. So you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and time is yours.
All right, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, good morning, the honorable judges, timekeeper, and also my fellow debaters. And I am, as a closing government team, I would state that I strongly agree with our motion today that this House believes that government should standardize the religious preacher rates. But before I give conclusion about government team, I would like to give some rebuttal to opposition team, especially for opening opposition team. So for the opening opposition team, they say that preacher is someone that knowing religion than other people, and also changing the goodwill, and that's why we should pay them as best as we can. And they also say that preacher is not a formal job. But in my opinion, just because it is not a formal job, it does not mean that government shouldn't standardize the religious preacher rates. And also, the argument from the deputy of opposition said that preacher may be teach because of the money. And as a government team, I would say that isn't that argument more suitable for the government team, because as the government, we firmly believe that standardized religious preacher rates is necessary and beneficial for several reasons. And my argument is that is because we can maintaining religious integrity. Standardization of rates can contribute to the maintenance of religious integrity. When preaching becomes a commercial endeavor driven by profit motives, there is a risk of diluting and authenticity and sincerity of religious teaching. By establishing a standardized rate, the government can discourage the commodition of religious services, ensuring that preachers prioritize their duty to impart spiritual knowledge over financial gain. And also, standardizing rates would incentivize preachers to approach their work more professionally and accountability. With a set rate in place, preachers would be motivated to enhance their skills, knowledge, and delivery to differentiate themselves from others. This would ultimately raise the overall quality of religious discourse, benefiting both the preachers themselves and the audiences they serve. And also, standardization of rates would contribute to greater transparency in religious community. By establishing clear guidelines and regulation, the government can ensure that preaching fees are openly discussed and agreed upon by all parties involved. This transparency builds trust between preachers and their followers, fostering a more positive and harmonious relationship with religious communities. In conclusion, standardizing religious preacher rates bring numerous advantages, including fairness, protection against exploitation, maintenance of religious integrity, professionalism, accountability, and transparency. By implementing this measure, the government can play a crucial role in safeguarding the interests of both preachers and their followers while fostering a healthier and more balanced religious environment. That's all, and I would state again that I extremely agree with this motion that this House believes that government should standardize in the religious preacher rates. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now we're going to move to the opposition whip. You have 5 minutes to speak. Time is yours.
Okay, first of all, is my voice clear?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, thanks to the moderator for the opportunity. Okay, my argument will start in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, honorable judges, timekeeper, field debaters, and all of the audience. Before I start the summary of this argument from opposition team, let me invite the honorable judges, fellow debaters, and all of the audience to disagree with today's motion, because I strongly disagree with today's motion that this House believes that government should standardize the religion preacher rates. Before I start to talk about the summary of the opposition team's argument, I would like to give rebuttal to the government team arguments. That is, the government team state that Indonesia is the dominated country by Muslim religion. Yes, it's correct, but this cannot be the reason for this country to make this kind of regulation. This country consists of diversity. There are 5 other religions in this country, not only Muslim, that we can put attention on it. This country might be dominated by Muslim, but as a Muslim, I would not take this as privilege and advantages. We must put the equality on everything, and not the equality between the Muslim preacher with other job, but the equality of all the preacher from the other religion, not only Muslim. Next, the government team mentioned about ensuring fairness and equality. How can it be fair and equal if you only talk about one religion? Even in limitation, you only refers to one religion. How you define the fairness if your argument mainly focus about one community? Even in limitation, you only limit one religion, which is really contradictory with the word fairness itself. And then what about the other religion? In Christian religion, also there's a preacher that we cannot ignore their existence. And then the government team also mentioned about maintaining the social harmony. In this argument, the Prime Minister mentioned about the diversity, but from the beginning of their speech is referring to one religion. So in what kind of diversity if you only referring to one community? This inequality will actually bring conflicts to other beliefs that are given less attention or less focus. So how can harmony can be created if there is no equality in it? And then the government team also mentioned about avoid the high charge from the preacher. Then how can they be a preacher if they still thinking about the money? We all know that the preacher is not a formal job that will give you income in a specified time like the other job, like teachers that will get wages in every month. It's unlike the other job that will get wages. If someone choose to be a preacher, means that they must know their choice and the impact behind it. That the fact it is the formal job and they will not get the specified income in a specified time. And then also the government team also mentioned about just because it's not formal job doesn't mean government shouldn't standardize the rates of the preacher. Yes, of course they're not. Why the government put focus on the job that even there's no absolute measurement and qualification in it? How can you make the standardization about the rates if you don't know the factor that differ each role on that job? Will you give the same rates to the beginner preacher with a few experience and the senior one? Of course the senior will think that they don't deserve that kind of that rates. They think that they have more experience than the beginner one. Okay, continue to the argument from the opposition teams. The leader of opposition give the background about the religion preacher, and then they also mention about the knowledge that the preacher share would be beneficial for the preacher itself because the preacher will think how to gain money from it. And then they also mention about preacher can get another job to get another income. And then they mention about school have teacher but preacher. I want to give some I going to put my opinion on this argument. Yes, it's correct, but we have to remember that in Islamic school often there's Islamic event which is in that event the activity is about preach. So the Islamic school would hire the person that they think qualified to give preach to the students. Okay, continue. The first speaker of the closing opposition mentioned about the solution must be give advantage between the government and preacher and create the fairness between both of them. I also provide some solution to this motion. We should give awareness about the charity and religion, which can make people more aware about the benefit that they will get if we be generous to others. And by this solution, the rates of preacher will be as fair as they deserve. Okay, that's all for my attention. That's all for my argument. And I want to state again that I strongly disagree with today's motion that this house believes that government should standardize the religion preachers' rates. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, everybody. So the last argument from the opposition sweep, since that our debate sessions for this morning before this afternoon is finished. Now I'd like to announce, guys, there's an announcement from judges. Please, Mom Relly.
Okay, everyone, for all debaters, so we judges have watched 2 sessions of debate, and obviously there's also trouble because one of the judge cannot follow the debate properly. But lucky us, we have the Zoom record, yeah. So we cannot give you the oral adjudication for now, yeah, because the judge needs to rewatch your debate, and after this we will have isoma, yeah, lunch break, and after that we will have the last preliminary session. Yeah, there will be 4 teams, Unja 1, Unja 2, Unri 1, dan Unri 2. And we will join again this Zoom later on 2 p.m. yeah, moderator, if I'm not mistaken. Before we have lunch break, I think we can have a spin wheel for the roles and for the motion.
Well, I need some time to prepare it, ma'am.
Yeah, actually it's quite tricky, yeah, because we only have 4 participants, 4 teams for this competition. Of course, we should have a few times of preliminary debates, gitu ya, to decide which team continue to the final. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, the final will be on the next month, yeah, and it will be conducted offline. Semuanya masih semangat kan ya? Walaupun nggak ada, ya, silakan menyiapkan snack masing-masing.
Okay, so here it is. We're going to spin for the role, ma'am.
Oke. Mungkin ditulis dulu ya. Oh, Unjas, ya udah. Kamu yang catat ya. Jangan sampai ada yang ketukar lagi.
Siap, ma'am. Oke, kita bakal mulai dari Unri 1. Kita bakal mulai dari Unri 1. Oke, Unri 1 dapat opening government. Saya ulangi, Unri 1 dapat opening government. Kita lanjut ke Unja 1. Unja 1. Unja 1 dapat opening opposition. Kita masuk ke Unri 2. Unri 2 berada di posisi closing opposition. Yang terakhir, Unja 2. Unja 2 mendapatkan posisi di closing government. Oke. Sekarang kita akan spin wheel for di mosi. Mosinya. Oke. Mosi 4.
Oke, mosi 4 ya. Oh ya, mungkin sebelumnya Mem mau nanya sama partisipannya. Ini kan sekarang baru jam 12 ya. Kalian nanti mau isoma break-nya dan kita kembali lagi ke Zoom jam 1 PM atau jam 2? Jam 1 atau mau jam 2? Mungkin ada yang mau tidur siang dulu kali ya.
Atau kalau langsung gimana Bu Reli?
Langsung
Masih kuat?
langsung sekarang. Pingsan nanti, belum pada makan siang.
Jam 2 Mem, kata Unri.
Oh, oke. Berarti jam 2 ya. Nanti kita akan kembali ke Zoom ini. Baik, silakan meninggalkan grup. Tinggal juri sama moderator.
Meninggalkan ruangan Zoom.
Terima kasih, Nan. Thank you. Bye.
Oke, thank you for swing team. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ini Zidane di kick aja ya, Meme?
Kick aja. Itu kayaknya lagi tidur lah tuh.
Oke, finish.
Oke. Jadi bagaimana ini Galih Mem minta tolong video rekamannya tolong diupload di Google.